Like, but he was so close, and it was so frustrating to have somebody just come up, especially working the way down. Hey everybody, little Mike. I wanted to talk about etiquette today. This comes from a story. I've been wanting to talk about this for a little while now, because it came from a story that happened with me and my wife when we were fishing a few years ago, and I just haven't been able to get past it. So I think it's something we all should learn, and this is the reason why. So there's loads of places. I mean, Provo's busy, right? This is something everybody should learn, especially if you're fishing the lower Provo and middle Provo. We're super blessed to have these kind of rivers so close. What that means is that there's loads of people. So you're going to run into folks. There's a couple places that there's always loads of anglers, like a bunch of dudes, bunch of people. Park at Vivian. There's another spot up here. That's a really popular turnoff. And this is actually the spot that I'm going to talk about in this story. So, so a few years ago, we got up here. We were one of the first ones here, and we're like, "Sweet, we're just gonna start fishing right off the bank, like where we parked. It's fine." So we started here. I started like right here and maybe a little lower, and my wife was up like right there, right? So we're about like 150 feet apart. Like we're not gonna get tangled in each other's lines, whatever. Well, other people start showing up, and this older guy comes and like he starts not too far above us, like maybe right here. And over the course of the next 20 minutes, by the time he was done, he started working down, which by the way wasn't catching any fish. It might be a reason for that. Working his way down until like he was all up in my wife's grill. Like probably that says 165 feet. Yeah, right. Hold on. I mean, like, she was probably, let me see, right here, if I can remember right. I bet you the dude was, like, right there. Just over 100 feet. Um, I can tell you, when we were fishing it, it wasn't 100 feet. And I know that because the lines were getting crossed. He was so close. I don't know why he thought this stretch was so amazing because like, but he was so close, and it was so frustrating to have somebody just come up, especially working the way down. So let's go through a bunch of the reasons why this is like a huge no-no. So, rule number one with fly fishing etiquette: just don't get close. Now, on the Provo, it's tough-ish. Like, it's really busy, right? And there's only so many places you can park. But there is loads of river to fish here. Like, even if you've got 20 people parked to come fishing, this whole stretch you could fill with people and have like a football's length worth of space. And it wouldn't be that big of a deal. So just don't get close. If you have to, if it's just so crowded that you can't get close. So my rule of thumb is like you don't see anybody. So there's enough bends here, right? Like someone could fish here, someone could fish essentially here, and someone could fish here, and you probably won't really see anybody. And there's plenty of, this is a long straight stretch, so the rule doesn't apply. Like you could have maybe one, two, three, and there's like enough space. Um, but if there's too many people that you can't essentially be alone, 100 feet like is the absolute minimum. I'm going to put it up. 150 feet. 150 feet is an absolute minimum. Because if you're running 50-foot casts, then you've got a 100-foot space where your lines could tangle. And not just that, like if you're moving above, and this is what irked me the most with the guy above us, is that fish are facing upstream. So if you've got anglers coming downstream, then they're going to see those anglers, and anything you're presenting, like upstream's going to be lost. Like there's just no shot. And that's what happened here. Like the dude wasn't catching anything, and it ended up that my wife wasn't either because he ruined it all. So rule number 1, don't get close. Rule number 2, closely tied to this, is generally, like, unless it's dead, you should be fishing upstream. You can hike downstream. Like if you get here and you want to hike downstream, that's fine. But fish in the water working up. Because again, fish are looking upstream. And if you're going downstream, you're ruining everything for everybody. So you should be generally fishing upstream. So there is no hole or no stretch or no section of water that is just so much infinitely better than the others that you have to fish it. So let's say that's rule number 3. Like if your spot's taken, you make extra jumps to be away from it. Like you just have to do it. Because one of these times, if you don't, you'll be in that awesome spot. And then someone's going to, like if they don't follow the same rules, they're just going to ruin your fishing outing. Another note about not getting close, this is kind of like a sub-lesson, so we'll just call it number 3. Don't ever fish from the other side of the river, especially here. Like, let's look at this. Google says that Provo is about 90 feet wide. That feels a little big, but we'll just say that's right. Yeah, that's probably right. It's skinnier in some places, bigger in others, right? So you should never, like, if somebody's like, let's say, I'm just going to pick a random spot. Let's say there's an amazing run here, right? You're on this left side. Nobody should be on the bank on this other side fishing the same spot. So if there's a hole that you love, don't pretend that, like, you're doing a service by just fishing from the other side. Find a different spot. So, last thing I want to say about etiquette is that not everybody's going to have it. So this is just a personality preference because I'm non-confrontational. I'm like a teeny little skinny guy, so like I can't fight anyways. So, but my approach is that, like, if someone's going to pull up and be like a jerk and fish your run that you're fishing, you can do one thing. You can ask nicely first to say, like, hey, like, this is my spot. Like, let's have some space, please. You know, like, it makes sense to have space. And if they are the type that are like, nah, then you just leave. Like, it's just you're not going to catch any fish. Like, there was no point in us fishing that stretch anymore when the dude came down because he scared them all. Like, he ruined the spot. So it was a lot, like, we were going to have a better chance at catching fish and not be angry and ruin the experience by just switching a spot. Because some people just don't do it. So those are my kind of thoughts on etiquette. Make sure you do them. You know, like, we're all out there trying to do the same thing. And there's no need to, like, ruin the experience for somebody else. And so embrace the challenge. If a spot that you like is taken, fish somewhere else. Do something new. Like, if you get skunked, it's not because of the spot. You know, it's because, I mean, unless you're, you know, like, really don't know what you're doing. But it's not the spot. There's plenty of places. There's plenty of fish. And I think we can all make a good experience for other people. So, tight lines, and we'll see you next time.